This is a journey. This is a journey.
Look, if you had one shot.
Back here. So I wanted to point out, I was talking about the Phoenix. Okay, so we'll change the direction here just a little bit, but so I was talking about the Phoenix, and that I showed you the double-headed one. This is just a single-headed one, and this is a bird that rises out of the ashes. So this goes along with the order out of chaos. Out of the chaos comes this glorious bird that they use. In fact, it's been known that I think it was Benjamin Franklin, if I'm not mistaken, and they were writing it in these letters, when he, Thomas Jefferson, or rather maybe it was Robert or John Page, was talking about, we're having to form a seal, for the new country, basically. Even that should tell you something. It's like, why do you need that? Why do you need a symbol? And we'll talk about that as well. But why do you need a symbol to represent? I mean, we all do. I mean, I'm making this broadcast. Me and the coach, we said, okay, we need a we didn't say symbol, but that's what it is. We need a logo. And so, we form it. We have this need, and I'll point that out here soon enough, and why we need it. But anyways, so they use this symbol, this Phoenix, right? Now this is a magazine edition from 1988. Okay, and this is stuff that's very rapidly coming into play right now. Extremely, I mean, this is on the burner right now. Okay, but they've had this plan for a long time because they've done it in several countries. In order to gain control of the country, they put it into chaos and into economic chaos, especially. And then out of that, they're able to bring their own monetary system. And that's one of the ways they control it. They're also trying to control it through power. You can say like things like electricity or fuels or something like that. And they're still doing that. And that's what brought the petrodollar. What is something that we've used for quite a long time. And they're doing it right now as well. Using this pandemic to collapse the economy. They're trying to, and I think eventually it will, and we're going to have to go to another system. Now I've posted things where I'm like, that I put my own spin on that part as well, because what I say, the Christian spin, which is the truth, is that, hey, like when they have that debt counting our country's total debt to these individuals in the Fed, these bankers, these worldly bankers, somehow we owe them. It's basically saying our sellout politicians owe them. They're the ones that rung up the credit card, not your average person. But we've partaken in a lot of it, without really considering its impact, overall. And some people have, of course, we know it's like we're putting our great grandchildren and our grandchildren in debt, and they're not going to be able to, take it on. But anyways, back to this picture. And you can see, this Phoenix, and what is it implying? That there is going to be a destruction of the monetary system that we have right now, in this case, the dollar, and out of that is going to come a world currency. Okay. Now right now, especially, they want to make that cashless. Why? Because then they can have simple control. And overall control. There's nothing being traded but numbers, and you got. I mean, just common sense could tell you if it went to that level where they had control of it digitally, we'd be done. There wouldn't be no way to gain control back. If they were able to pull that off. I don't think they will be able to, but who knows? If either way, I know where I'm headed. Amen. I hope you know where you are. Okay. So again, we're in Mystery Babylon. Now I want to take a few moments and just look over the religion, the religious components regarding it. Okay. So take a look at this. So this is that magazine, and then I'm showing you right here. This is the 2012 Olympic closing ceremony. What was that about? Okay, now I already talked to you about what rituals, and if you watched one of the episodes of The Intoxicants, it's a little bit different focus on those episodes. But if you've heard some of this, these rituals that they perform, these ceremonies, they're calling these ceremonies. They're actually rituals. Okay, they're designed to put a vision before you, in order for you not to respond to the vision, and then they start to move forward in their plan to carry it out. That's how it's done. Okay. So, we see it, we applaud it, we are entertained by it, and we ignore it after that. And then, they performed it, and then they go full steam ahead to execute it. Okay. That's basically what it is. And, I can show you that, and, but it's up to you to be convinced. I mean, some of this, if you just give people this information, they find it very hard to believe. But when you see it over and over and over again, it becomes very easy to believe and to recognize, So let's look at the next one, and I'm going to show you. Get a load of this, okay? This is the ceremony, but this is at the Paralympics. And let me pause it for just a sec. Now, this event, this is going on at the same time, apparently, as the Olympics were. And this is the Paralympics. And if I remember correctly, it was still in the city of London, but it was in a different location, like a different stadium. And so they're doing their opening ritual, I believe. And they invite this druid, who is basically a male witch. And I mean, just stop and think about that for a second. I mean, if they would have presented this in the normal Olympics, I think people would have been like, what is this doing here? So they present it here in the Paralympics. That's still a part of the same event. Okay, it's just it's almost like, hey, we're doing skiing, we're doing track and field, and now we're doing Paralympics. But they do this event, and I call it a ritual. And now you can see. So if you thought, oh, I don't know what John's talking about, that closing event ritual, and you can go and watch that last one yourself. But there's really no denying it here when they invite a witch, a male witch, to help them open this. Because what is he doing? He's opening up a portal. And I'm going to show you right now. But just for a quick look at right over here, these pyramids. And it's distinct. Why do they put these lights right there? Because the capstone on that pyramid they're saying is separate. That's the thing that they're building. That's what the Freemasons, they're trying to put what they call the capstone on it. It's like a reversal of the kingdom, because we know that Jesus is the chief cornerstone, right? And everything in the church is built on that stone that the builders rejected. Well, these are the builders who rejected that stone, and instead they're trying to bring it back to Satan's original plan, and the capstone is really him. Okay, so you can see right now here as we go and hear this out.
I call upon the spirit of autumn, the spirit of water.
Did you hear what he said? He said, I call on the spirits. He's invoking the spirits. He's giving authority and calling on spirits now to come. Okay?
Of the ebb and flow of emotion, of open seas and running streams, of cleansing rain, spirit of the evening sun, of twilight and of autumn. I call upon the spirit of winter, the spirit of earth, the womb of creation.
Think about what he said, the womb of creation. Okay, this is what in that architecture where I show you the Capitol, and then the which is the rotunda, the dome, and then further down the street the obelisk, the Washington Monument. You know, they're talking about something that they're building, and I'm building up to that myself and how I explain it to you. But this is what he's calling the womb of creation. He says the ebb and flow of emotion, because this is what they play off of. They play off of our emotions. So as believers, we cannot be led by our emotions. We have to use both sides of our brain and analyze these things, just like the letter that Thomas Jefferson wrote, you know, where he's analyzing these things. He's considering things, you know, he's not ignoring things. Okay, but this is what he's calling on.
Of night and the snows of winter, deep roots and ancient stones.
Ancient stones. This has been going on for a long time.
The spirit of spring, the spirit of air, the breath of life, of sunrise, and of new life and new growth. I call upon the spirit of summer, the spirit of fire, of energy and of passion, the spirit of the noonday sun, the heat of summer, vitality and abundance. My friends, let the festival commence.
And then this is the picture they want you to see, right? The two pyramids, right? I mean, this is the opening of this ceremony. That was a ritual. And everybody applauding it, in some sense, are partaking in what I would say a satanic ritual. Okay? Now, that doesn't mean, hey, Satan's going to be able to, you know, have his way completely with people. Like I said, once you understand authority and how it works, you know, you realize, hey, they can't just do whatever they want. It's a continual thing, but you give a little bit. It's kind of like if you imagine, okay, the next level, they go to a different ritual that's more obvious. You know, let's say that witch, that druid invites you to something else he's going to do, you know, off somewhere else, off site. You go to that and you're opening the door even further. So they're going to come in even further, the demonic spirits that he's calling. And then let's say he invites you, hey, take a drink of this while we're doing this, we're performing this stuff. Or, you know, it could just be even an alcoholic drink, you know, that they dedicated to idols, which are backed by spirits, which are really demons. Okay, so that's kind of how it works. Let's look at the next slide here. Okay, so where was I? Oops. Okay, so look at these individuals, right? Like some of you recognize the Pope right there, of course, and then you got, you know, people from all these various religions. You know, did they just happen to meet each other there for a picture? Hey guys, you know, we're all religious leaders. Let's take a picture together. I mean, undoubtedly they said that, but that's not why they met. And so you got to stop and think, what are they doing? Are they conspiring? Which means, are they trying to work something together? That's all it means. So if they said, hey, John, you're a conspiracy theorist. The conspiracies are true. You know, people conspire, absolutely conspire. You can't tell me these guys aren't conspiring. You know, these people right here that they had nothing. They just thought, hey, we're all kind of leaders in our own way, and let's have a barbecue or something like that. They're getting together to carry something out. Now that's a part of the New World Order that they have to do, and the Pope is the one leading the way on all this stuff. You know, he's the most influential out of all of them. And why do they have to do that? You know, why do they have to get, you know, the world's religions to unite? Okay, that's an aspect of our makeup, like how God made us. He created us to worship. So we're going to do it, you know, regardless. You might not worship God, but you are going to worship something. Something is going to take that place in your life. It's basically like saying, what's the most important thing in your life? What do you love the most? That's what you worship. So it could be, you know, anything that doesn't put God first is going to be idolatry. If you put God first, he'll put things in order for you to love, you know. So let's look again.
Authenticity, humility. Pope Francis is the perfect example of this.
Okay, now, you know, most of you probably know of Rick Warren. You know, he wrote the book A Purpose-Driven Life. Excellent book. I mean, I've used that book in Spanish as well, you know, teaching it, the principles that come out of there, and an excellent series. I highly recommend it. But now that I know a little bit about, now that I know a little bit more of Rick Warren's agenda, you know, it makes me stop and think like, man, was he always about that, or did he get off point somewhere? And I kind of lean towards that at some point he took the wrong turn and started moving in a different direction, and that's happened to quite a few ministers. You know, you can, especially when you're dealing with high level spirits. You know, like the more influential you become, the greater the powers that you're up against, and even the greater you're prone to, let's say, deception. The only thing that keeps you, it's not the knowledge. Like, I'm giving you a lot of this knowledge, but it's not that keeps you on a personal level with God. It's knowing God as a person that keeps you there. And so that's why you need to have an intimate relationship with him. That's what grounds you in love and you know, protects you, because you know, you can gain all this knowledge and it just puff you right up, and you think you're on to everything that they're doing, but that doesn't strengthen you in your love and in your spirit, man. You know, it can help you a lot, but it's not the main thing. Okay, so now he's talking about the Pope being the, let's go back and hear it. Okay.
Authenticity, humility. Pope Francis is the perfect example of this.
Listen to what he says.
He is doing everything right. You see, people will listen to what we say if they like what they see. And
that guy cracks me up right there.
as our new Pope, he was very symbolic.
What? You know, he says, as our new Pope. Is he now Catholic? I mean, when I caught that, I was like, wait a minute. I mean, he's promoting the Pope, you know, and then I remember after I had seen this, you know, how I think he really had a lot to do with how Barack Obama ended up getting elected originally. Because if you remember, they met like he met with Obama at his church. And I think that was to gather all the influence of evangelicals, you know, as much as he could. And I think that's what put him over. It's like almost like, hey, if he's good enough for Rick Warren, then I guess he's good enough for me. And this is why, you know, a lot of times, like I said, trust your common sense and your conscience. You know, that's the part of you that knows God, that knows good. And the Lord will lead you. Okay. I mean, he's talking about the Pope being our Pope. I don't know where he's getting that, where he's included in that, but I guess he is.
His first mass with people of AIDS, his kissing of the disformed man, his loving the children, this authenticity, this humility, the caring for the poor. This is what the whole world expects us Christians to do. And when they go, oh, that's what a Christian does. In fact, there's a headline here in Orange County, and I love the headline. I saved it. It said, if you love Pope Francis, you'll love Jesus. that was a headline.
Now when I see this, look how fake this interview seems, you know? Okay, but anyways.
Headline. Oh. It was a headline. I saved it. I showed it to a group of priests I was speaking to a while back.
Okay, you can judge that for yourself, but okay, so here again, just to reemphasize, I'm giving you pieces of the puzzle. Now, you know, a lot of the stuff, you know, it might seem a little hard to believe. Look into it. These are just pieces. The perfect picture isn't going to be, you know, shown until, you know, I'm going to say until after the rapture. Like, you're not going to see everything as it truly is until, you know, Jesus comes and takes his bride. And after that, people are going to realize, and that's what you see in the last couple verses there in Revelation chapter 6, is they realize, you know, the wrath of the Lamb has come, and they see the heavens opened. Okay, so here's a we'll go a little bit of a different direction, but here's a quote from Michael Jackson. Now, I don't know how you feel about Michael Jackson. It's been coming out lately too that he was in fact a pedophile. I'm not too sure about that. I mean, I tend to think that it's a probability, but I want to be fair, and this isn't to show any kind of sympathy for child molesters. I think, personally, I think they need to be dealt with severely, like, death penalty and such. But here's what I do keep in mind, and I've said this a few times before, is that it's obvious with him, especially. He's been in the limelight for since he was a kid, his whole family. And when I regard that, then I'm kind of a little bit more understanding, I think, as far as not towards his acts, his actions and what he did or may have done, but really towards them as a person. He obviously was, in my opinion, abused. There was a lot of things that were really messed up that is pretty well known about his father, Joe Jackson, and exploiting his kids and so much fame and money and all this other stuff. But look what he says in this verse. He says, "I need you to know that this is very important, what we are fighting for, because I'm tired. I'm really tired of manipulations. I'm really tired on how the press is manipulating everything that has been happening to the situation. They do not tell the truth. They're lying. They manipulate our history books. The history books are not true. It's a lie. The history books are lying. You need to know that. You must know that." I mean, you get a very big impression, almost of panic with him. And in truth, I think that it was panic on his part. Some of you don't know, but you can go and you can see an interview. And I think if I remember correctly, there was a video of him saying these things. Okay. And at the time of his death, he was suing. I want to say it was one of the record. It might have been, I don't know if it was Warner, Time Warner. I can't recall, but you can look it up. But he was suing the producers of his music, and I think it was Sony. Now that I recall, I think it was Sony. He was suing Sony and for, the rights of his music and his other productions, I guess. And he was, I think if I remember correctly too, that people were saying that he was going to win the case. And then all of a sudden he turns up dead, and they say, of course, like they always say these things, it was a suicide, and it's always, the medications where they blame the person, etc. So, but the reason I put this is I want to point out some stuff here. He's making mention of how the media manipulates. Oh my gosh, that is so apparent in our times right now. Not even I would say 7 years ago, when I really started to promote this teaching, was there as much about the media, I should say, like videos showing how much they manipulate news and how controlled they are, in fact, and their whole agenda. Like there's compilations, and I'll show you some, but there's so many more out there now, compilations of all the different news media organizations, conservative and liberal, regardless, everywhere in between, all saying the same script, reading the same script. So that you can do a quick research on that on YouTube. Just go, fake news compilation or something like that, and I'm sure they'll start popping up where they're reading off the same exact script, which tells you something powerful, that hey, they're getting all their news from the same source. So how how much of a news are they really? You know, if they're just repeating lines, you know, and in one sense, they're just actors, you know, and that's why I say, you know, we're really the news now. Social media is really the news. We can transfer news quicker than they can. Anyway, so he refers to the manipulation of the press. He says how they're manipulating history books. You know, they do that in various ways. Like I said, tearing down statues or whatever, just not mentioning a lot of the things. Like they talk about our American history, but I just gave you a little bit of American history that they're not mentioning. Why wouldn't they mention those things? You know, that's, you know, some solid history. Those are like written letters that are preserved, you know, in museums and such. Why wouldn't they mention what they're talking about, you know, and tell people like I'm doing? It takes all but a few minutes, right, to do that. And he says they're lying, you know, they're lying about it. And we need to know that they're lying. Absolutely. Totally agree with that statement.